Hello, dear students. I am back with lesson number 7, that is cyber safety. In this chapter, we will discuss about the terms related to cyber safety, the internet theft, and the various guidelines that to be followed while using internet. So, let's begin with the chapter. What is cyber safety? You must have seen that your parents visit the bank to operate the locker. What purpose does the locker serve? Your mother keeps her jewelry and valuable things in the locker. Your father keeps important and confidential documents in the locker. The locker provides a safe and secure environment for the belongings. What will happen if your parents leave the jewelry, valuables, and documents outside the locker by mistake? They will be stolen and misused. Similarly, when you access the internet, you key in a lot of personal information and the websites you visit on the social networking website that you are a part of it. Though the information and details are password protected, yet a lot of them can be accessed by other people. This unsecured information and details can be stolen and misused by thieves on the internet. This is called cyber theft. So we can say that in order to keep our valuable things and personal information not to be stolen or not to be accessed by unauthorized users, we have to keep them in with a tight security, and this security comes under the cyber safety. And the unsecured information that has been stolen by some person without our information, that is known as cyber theft. So, cyber theft is stealing in confidential personal and financial information such as passwords, bank details, credit cards, details, etc. from a personal computer or device and misusing it to harm the user. To prevent cyber theft, we need to keep most of our personal financial information and data safe. This is known as cyber safety. What is online identity? What is the first step you join to join any social media like Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram? Yes, first of all we have to log in, and which requires a password such as our name. It requires a password and which requires a key in a lot of personal information such as your name, date of birth, address, etc. This information creates your online identity and social identity on the internet. People actually look at your online identity when they see your profile on the social networking sites. So this is known as online identity. Whenever we log on to any of the social site, that is WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, or any other social site you are using, the first step is that we have to log in by some name or password. So this is online identity, which creates our identity over the internet in the form of our login. Identity theft: when someone else uses our online identity to create fraud messages or commit crimes, it is known as identity threat. In other words, we can say that identity threat is a kind of deception, scam, or crime that results in the loss of personal data. Identity protection while using the internet. There are some ways in which you can be a victim of identity threat. Phishing: it is an act of illegally acquiring personal information and sensitive information such as online banking details, credit card details, and other login details of an individual by sending malicious emails or by creating web pages that can collect this information as they appear to come from very famous organization. It happens many times that we people used to get messages like this customer has won 2 crore, and to avail this discount and to avail this offer, just log in on this website. So these kind of details that are not actually visible, but they are not actually present, but they had been created by some unauthorized user in order to hack your personal information or online banking details. This activity is known as phishing. The second one is dumpster driving. It is a technique used to retrieve personal information of a user from his discarded documents. Cyber thieves search your trash to get information about your bills, credit cards, and other information like codes or passwords, which they can use to carry out an attack on a computer network. So it should be keep in mind when you are discarding any document, it should be completely discarded, and it should be discarded in a proper way so as no other user can able to access these codes or passwords. Shoulder surfing: It is obtaining personal information such as PIN or ATM machines, personal details while filling up a form, or the lock code of a smartphone through direct observation by looking over a person's shoulders. This happens in crowded places such as banks, ATMs, and while traveling by metro and bus. That is why it is suggested by using an ATM to cover your passcode with your hand. Whenever you are entering the passcode in ATM, it must be covered with your hand, so there's no other people will able to see your password of the ATM credit card or ATM debit card. Employment scam. It is giving a job seeker a false hope of employment with better salary by paying a certain amount of money. The thieves keeps tracking the accounts of job seekers who are actively updating their CVs. An email is then sent to the ID offering them a good job with an attractive salary. In return, the job seeker has to share a lot of personal details, which also includes the bank details, and transfer some amount to them. These details then used to gain access to their bank accounts or personal details for identity thefts. Here is a screen capture given by below. You can see how such type of mails we are getting on our mobile or in our IDs. The next one is pretexting. It is a practice of obtaining a personal information using a fake name or a fake company and then selling that information to people who use it to steal the personal online identity. So these are certain identity protection over the internet that many people became victim of identity theft. Now the matter comes to how the users track us, how they come to know about us. Suppose you are looking for a coaching classes online. After a day or so, you started receiving emails from various websites that offer you online tutorials, coaching materials, and even home tuitions. Although you did not serve or register on any of these sites, then how come these websites got the details of the data you were looking for online? This is because when you surf the net, the websites keep a track of your activities and use your data to share to track you. These websites also collect information about the type of websites and the pages you are visiting, your location, and what you usually read or search or for on the internet, etc. This basically can be termed as online tracking. Now, tracking script. How do these websites keep a track online? Tracking scripts are used for this purpose. Tracking scripts can be deployed on any website and can track visitors easily. Google and fortunately there are many built-in browser options which may save you from tracking. Here are the ways by which websites can track you. IP address. How do you receive a letter through post? Actually, IP address is the address of your computer. Every machine, every electronic machine has its own IP address, that is known as Internet Protocol address. This address tells the person to access your information. Have you ever wondered how do you receive a letter through post? It is because of your postal address, which is unique. Similarly, when the data is transferred from one computer to the other in a network, it is done with the help of a unique numerical address assigned to the hardware connected to the internet. This is known as IP address. IP address is an acronym for Internet Protocol address. It is similar to our homes or office address, which is unique. Whenever you visit a website, a device you use shares an IP address with the website. With the help of this IP address, a website can roughly estimate your geographical location. Cookies. Cookies are small data files. These cookies are not that we usually eat. Alright children, so cookies are small data files which are sent by website when you visit and generated by your browser. These are then stored on your device. Cookies are used to track your record of visit to a particular website or web page. A website recognizes you with the help of cookies. When you again visit that website, similarly, when you see your credit card for any transaction, a cookie will store your login information. Or if you consider an example of Facebook, when you log into a Facebook once, then when you come back again on that Facebook account, it will not ask your login ID again, because login ID is being saved in the form of a cookie in Facebook account. Only it will ask for the password because it is not be saved by the cookies. So cookies are used to store your data that you are using again and again in order to access any account. Different web browsers have different privacy settings. You can go to the browser settings and choose private browsing. Now there are three types of cookies: first party cookies, third party cookies, and session cookies. First party cookies are the kind of cookies that are generally used to store your login ID, password, and autofill information, etc. Third-party cookies, these are the cookies that website stores to get details of your search history and web browsing history. And the session cookies, these are temporary cookies that are deleted after you close down your browser. Super persistent cookies. Super cookies are the type of tracking cookies which are designed to permanently reside on a user device. These are inserted into the HTTP header by internet service provider to gather data about the browsing history and habits of a user. These are also known as unique identifier headers. HTTP referral. While browsing a website, when you click on the website link to open the source of information you requested for, the data like your IP address, location, machine type, web browser, etc. is sent to the link website. The website will not only set up a cookie in your browser but also record the URL of the website where you come from. So HTTP referral can be defined as an online source which increases the visits and the number of visitors of a website. User agent. User agent refers to the software program such as your browser or session initiating application. For example, Skype or any other web calling application. When you initiate a web session, these applications pass your information such as application type, operating system use, software source, version, etc. This information can be tracked and stored by web servers to determine the user web activities and behavior. In the sections above, you have seen that while browsing the web, your user may wish to hide your identity on the web, as the information may be used for tracking our web movements, attacking our profile in the cyber world. The following methods can be used to protect our personal information. The first one is anonymous browsing. We need to hide our identity either intentionally or due to governmental and professional restrictions. Since all HTTP requests originating from our machine carry a lot about our identity with them, we need to be aware of the ways by which our information can be concealed from the third-party proxy server or authorized vendor. By using anonymous browsing, we eliminate all these factors and browse the net without revealing any personal information or interest. This is why it is essential to encrypt the data to hide one's identity. Private browsing, also known as Indigo mode, it is means by which we can safeguard our identity and browsing details when online. By enabling Indigo browsing mode in our web browser, we can prevent saving of our details as in the autofill feature, accidental saving of username and passwords, and saving of browsing history when we accessing the web from a public domain, saving of data in cookies and location tracking. To activate the incognito mode, open your browser, select the file, new private window or the new incognito window. This opens the incognito window. Figures shows Google Chrome incognito window. Different browsers may have different names for the incognito mode. Chrome Control Shift plus N, Firefox Shift Control plus P, Internet Explorer Control Shift P. Now let us discuss proxy server. A proxy server is a dedicated computer or a computer software system which acts as an intermediary between an endpoint device such as a computer and another server from which a user or client is requesting a service. So the tracking website will get the information on the proxy server and you can still browse the site without disclosing your IP address or location. Examples of proxy servers are Apache, Hypoxy and Nginx, etc. Now, virtual private network (VPN). VPN allows you to hide our identity by encrypting the data and web traffic, thus making it possible for any third party to decode it. A VPN changes our IP address and connects us to a server with a different IP and location. As a result, no browsing cookies are saved. How to protect our data and identity online? You just go through these steps yourself. The following ways you can help to limit your data exposure online. Exclude information, important personal information from your social media profiles. Check your social media privacy settings. Protect your online passwords and strengthen them too, and check your phone's privacy setting. Just go through these points yourself. Now we will discuss what is password. Password is just like a key to your personal information. It guards your personal information from potential online risk. Your secure presence in the cyberspace is completely attributed to the strength of your password and your ability to keep them safe. Several means besides phishing and spyware are used to gain access to your secure passwords. When you create password with combination of letters and number that are unique for each online account, you will make it more difficult to unlock your identity, keeping your information safe and secure. That is why it is advised to create a password that is very you can say and strong that cannot be easily cracked by the crackers and hackers. To protect our passwords online, follow the steps that make them strong. Make sure that the password is minimum 8 character long. Use a combination of upper and lowercase letters. Be creative. Never use personal information like your name, birthday as password. Never store your password on your computer, in your mobile phone. When you are signing in into your account, deselect the auto selected option. Clear up browsing history. Always ensure that the site is genuine. Avoid using passwords like word spelled backwards. Do not repeat numbers. Always create a unique password for each account. The answers you provide to the security questions should be strong as your password. Pay attention to the browser's security signals. Password strength. The password strength is a measure of password efficiency to resist password cracking attacks. The strength of a password is determined by its length, complexity, and unpredictability. Length, the number of characters the passwords contain. Complexity, the use of combination of letters, numbers, and symbols. And unpredictability, level of difficulty that the attacker cannot guess it easily. Cracking a password. The following are the most common password cracking techniques in use: dictionary attack, brute force attack, rainbow table attack, phishing, spidering, and so on. Dictionary attack. It is an intense technique. The hacker creates a file with words which are frequently used by computer users while creating passwords. Brute force attack. This technique is similar to the dictionary attack, but with a little difference that it detects the password using algorithm which uses alphanumeric combinations. Rainbow table attack. In hash product techniques, passwords are secured by inducing hashes in the original password. Using an algorithm, rainbow technique reduces these hashes to recover the original password string and then generate a new string, which can be used to guess the user password. Phishing is the act of sending email or message to a user with the intention to steal the confidential information. Spidering uses programs which can scan the pages of a website one by one, and in this process it scans and extracts the useful information and stores it in search engine database. Best practices to protect our confidential information is to build strong passwords. The password should be very strong. User multi-factor authentication. That means the user ID and a strong password alone are not sufficient to secure web account. Multi-factor authentication is one of the simplest and the most effective ways to secure data. Be suspicious of unsolicited email. Be aware of nuisance ads and unsolicited emails from unknown sources. Be aware of your online posting. One should be very careful is what one is sharing online. Protect your mobile devices. Outdated software can leave our mobile devices open to security vulnerabilities. Remember to protect your device from an external attack. Engage in safe web browsing. Just like our phone requires updates on a regular basis, so does our web browser. An outdated browser can open up security gaps that cyber criminals may take advantage in accessing our data. Use safe sites to surf the internet. Always use the sites that start with HTTPS. Letter S specify that it is safe site to be browsed. Use firewall. A firewall is a network system security that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic. Avoid using computers in public. Avoid using computers in public places like cyber cafe or labs. Online safety. The internet has revolutionized communication and it has become the lifeline of any organization. With the rapid growth of internet and its application in diverse fields, the security risks have also increased. While working online, a system may get infected with various harmful programs known as malware. Malware is a combination of two words, malicious and software. Malware is a malicious program that enters into a computer and damages it without the user's knowledge. There can be a variety of malware programs. Some common ones are adware. Adware are programs that send unwanted advertisements to the user computer. These advertisements generally appear in the form of pop-ups, which can disrupt users' working. It is advised that before installing or downloading any software, use a legitimate site and read the installation agreement thoroughly. Spyware is a malicious software that secretly monitors the user computing activities. These programs can collect various types of information such as tracking the internet surfing habits and visiting web pages by the user or changing the configuration of our system. A virus is a contagious program or code that attacks the user system and causes damage to data files on a system. Most often, this is applied by sharing software or files between computers. A worm is a program which can create multiple copies of itself and can consume large portion of system memory. Trojan horse. Trojan horse is one of the most dangerous malware. It is a program that at first glance seems to be useful, but once it is activated, it harms the system by deleting files. Denial of service attack. It is a harmful program meant to slow down a system. Rootkit are malware designed to remotely control your system without being noticed. Backdoors, this software helps the other malware to enter your system and harm it. Keyloggers, these are the software designed to capture keystroke without being identified by the user or security program. Ransomware, it sends messages or users a system that system is logged and the user will not be able to work on it until one pays a certain amount. It is not a real notification rather than infection of the system itself. Damage caused by malware. The magnitude of the harm relies upon the objectives of the infection, and sometimes that the after effects of its action are impalpable of the clients of compromised machine, results in frequent freezing or crashing of the system. Malware can adversely affect the system. It may slow down the working of computer system. Hardware failure. A virus can sometimes cause harm to the system hardware as well. For example, in 1999, the CIH virus, also known as Chernobyl, deleted the data in flash BIOS, making it impossible to even boot the computer. Loss of data. A malware can delete different user document and can damage different file, crucial for the working on operating system. Slowing down the network speed, alters the configuration of the system, monitor using surface habits, and steals sensitive information by altering security settings. These are the damages caused by malwares. There are certain safety measures that could be taken by us. It becomes essential that we ensure our safety in the cyber world. Security programs, secure internet access, regular security updates, avoid spams, backups, scanning all portable devices, disable cookies if possible, and etiquettes. These are certain safety measures that should be taken by one in order to save our computer or device from malwares and certain viruses. Cybercrime refers to any online illegal activity facilitated by the use of electronic communication devices like mobile phones, computer, or through network like internet. Some most common type of cybercrimes are cyber stalking, cyberbullying, cyber espionage, cyber warfare, cyber terrorism, cyber extortion, and sexting. Cyber stalking is a crime in which the attacker harasses a victim by using electronic communication such as email, instant messaging, or messages posted to a website on a discussion group for a reason of anger, revenge, or control. Cyberbullying, it is an act of harming and harassing user information technology in a deliberate manner. Cyber espionage, it is a practice of using information technology to obtain secret information without permission from owners or holders. Cyber warfare, it is involves using of information technology by nation states to penetrate another nation network to cause damage or disruption. Cyber terrorism is the act of conducting terrorism through the use of computers and the internet in order to cause fear and panic. Cyber extortion, it is a crime that involves an attack coupled with a demand for money to stop further attack. Sexting means sending and forwarding exposed sexual materials to others without taking others' consent. This type of material can be used to defame others to cause harassment. Reporting a cybercrime. In case of any cybercrime, you should immediately report the matter to other parents or school authorities. Parents can visit a nearby police station. The Information Technology Act, ICT Act, has a global jurisdiction. To know more about cyber law or register to a complaint, you can visit the following link that is given below. Cyber law or internet law is a term that encapsulates the illegal issues related to the use of internet. With the increasing number of crimes related to the internet, fraud, phishing, etc., urgent need was felt to introduce an act of law against crime. With this view in mind, the Indian government introduced Information Technology Act 2000, which was also known as ITA 2000 or IT Act, on October 17, 2000. The act was used to electronic governance and for controlling cybercrimes. The prime purpose of this act to provide legal recognition to transactions carried out by means of electronic communication, referred to as electronic commerce, and to facilitate the filling of electronic records with the government. Importance of cyber law. Cyber law is important because all the aspects and activities related to the internet are covered under it. In other words, cyber law is a law which is specially used to deal with crimes related to e-commerce. Other than this, cyber laws can use as a protection measure against threats like cyber terrorism, cyber warfare, and cyber extortion. So this is all about chapter number 7. I hope this chapter is clear to you because this is very easy and general chapter. The points that I have not taken in detail, you just go through the points and notes I am giving you along with this chapter. So you just go through the chapter yourself. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy at your home. Goodbye.